Edition presented by AT&T, and boy, it is great to be back in the studio. Lindsay Draper, Nate Newton, and Mickey Spagnola. Guys, how was your off season? Tell me one good thing that you did to kind of rest and recharge before training camp begins.
Well, Ms. Lenz, I didn't look to rest and recharge. I went out to Deion Sanders. He owned 152 acres in Canton, Texas.
Wow.
I went out there and jumped on a tractor, got me a saw, cut down some trees, cleared out some brush, and here I am, baby, 23 pounds lighter.
That's what, there you go.
Yes.
You did some real summer work. That's
You know
what
what?
you're looking slim.
And I noticed that too, by the way. So you played farmer.
Yeah, I had to, man. I mean, it saves money. I mean, free labor for Deion.
Mick, what about you? You always like to get away. And
yeah,
get
I did.
outdoors.
And I went up the East Coast and went to Boston and drove up the coast of Maine, and it was really neat.
Wow.
I suggest that if anybody wants to get away and see some great scenery and end up in Bar Harbor, Maine.
Wow.
It was great, and it was cool, by the way.
Well, I know another coast that's cool that you are about to be on in Oxnard, California in just a few days now, Mickey.
Exactly.
Let's talk about training camp storylines going in. It was a great offseason for the Cowboys. Maybe got a contract done, got some more to do, a couple injuries cleaned up. But what is the biggest storyline that you are looking forward to going into camp? Mickey, I'll start with you.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to be looking at right away is this Cowboys offense. I think there's a misconception that this offense struggled all last year. The fact is, the second half of the season, this offense was awfully good once Amari Cooper showed up. In 5 of the last 8 games, they scored at least 27 points. So the offense was headed in the right direction. But now, can that offense take the next step? And I think that's going to be the big question mark for me going into training camp. It's basically the same offense. They've added Jason Witten, and they've added Randall Cobb, and they hope Travis Frederick is back in the starting lineup. And if all that takes place and those guys come through, you guys, I really think this offense can be dominant in the National Football League.
I know it will be dominant. If Travis Frederick can make it back, I know he will be dominant. If he can play to 80% of what he was, now he can help Connor Williams at the left guard, and that frees my man Tyron Smith to be who he can be. So if Travis Frederick come back and be the guy that we know him to be, this offense will roll. You
both have mentioned offense, and for me, the name Kellen Moore alone intrigues me because are things going to look different this year? Is it gonna flip-flop and the offense is gonna be crazy different? Or are we looking, will it be the same? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to be drastically different. I don't think you're going to bring in a first-year offensive coordinator and then just say, okay, revamp the whole thing. I think they'll add to what they've been doing. I think you'll see some new looks and maybe a different coordination of how you call plays. But to give you a better idea, Nate, of maybe what they're thinking, during the offseason, someone asked Kellen Moore, what do you got to do to improve the offense inside the red zone? And I think they were looking for some exotic answer, and he said, we got to run the ball better.
And
there you go. Run the ball is key.
Besides run the ball, when we watched the OTAs and we watched the other guys, the other practices, the mini camps, he had guys doing different things. He had several guys, Randall Cobb in the slot outside. You have Zeke in the slot, back at out. You got guys going in motion we never saw in motion. I saw the big tight ends out wide. So he got people, keeping the same people on the field doing several things.
All right, taking a quick break here from the studio. Just getting started on Special Edition. There have been some incredible training camp battles in the past. I'm sure this guy was involved in a few of those, but we're looking ahead to the biggest ones of 2019 next.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Salvation Army. Doing the most good. And by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery.
training camp, you are right around the corner. We're looking forward to it and all the battles that come with it. And no, I don't mean, with each other or with other teams that come in. I mean the good battles that we're looking forward to. And this team, guys, I feel like is in a championship window right now with so much talent. It's so many different position groups. So Mickey, you start us off. Who is your group that you're looking at?
Well, there's not many battles for starting positions on this team. If you look at the offense and defense, both sides of the ball have 9 of 11 starters returning. So there's really not battles for starting jobs. So my battle is I'm going to watch the battle for the backup quarterback spot with Cooper Rush and Mike White. I think both of these guys go into training camp kind of on even standing. And I think it's going to come down to who plays the best during the practices and who plays the best during those preseason games. I think for both guys, I think that it's going to be an important training camp because I'm not sure with the amount of talent they have on this team that they can carry 3 quarterbacks. So if they carry 2, one guy might get eliminated.
Do you think, Mickey, there is a chance that the backup quarterback for this team is not currently on the roster?
Well, if the backup quarterback is not on this roster, then this team is in trouble because if you look at the quarterbacks that are available, they're no better than what they have right now. Now, there's always a chance, and Nate knows this, that with all the new quarterbacks drafted in the league, somebody might get released. But I think it's got to come down between these 2 guys because if somebody's better than them, they should have a job by now.
All right. Nate?
Jordan Lewis.
I like this one. Now tell me why you got your eye on Jordan Lewis this season.
Jordan Lewis, when we brought him in a year or so ago, this guy was balling out. He was playing. He was a projected starter. We got a new defensive coordinator, passing defensive coordinator, and it changed. We got Byron Jones. We have Awuzie, and that's who he liked. He liked the tall, long guys. We have Anthony Brown as our third corner. But Jordan Lewis has been enthusiastic during the OTAs, during the mini camps. He's been playing lights out. He can also play special teams. Jordan Lewis is finna make a move.
And I asked Chris Richard point blank this offseason, Nate, is Jordan Lewis going to be an exception to your rule of wanting the tall guys? And Jordan Lewis even told me, I think I'm going to get more opportunities. That's what they keep telling me, but at the expense of who?
Well, I think he's an important cog to this defensive secondary. I keep seeing this, well, you got this guy and this guy and this guy. You can trade Jordan Lewis.
Oh, no.
You don't be trading nobody and deplete your depth when you have some because the minute somebody gets hurt, well, then Jordan Lewis is in the starting lineup if you count the top 3.
All right, I'm looking at the wide receiver group. Tell me what you guys are thinking because I feel like year after year, people look at the group and say, well, how many are the Cowboys going to carry? The sure ones I got right now, Randall Cobb, Allen Hurns, maybe Tavon Austin in there? Tony Pollard, how does he fit in? What are we thinking?
You want to count Amari Cooper?
Oh, Amari Cooper, he's the given.
Amari
He's
Cooper,
the given.
Gallup,
The
they
name
already
doesn't
there.
need
That's
to be
the
mentioned.
gimmies.
Yeah.
Right.
But I believe by the addition of Randall Cobb and what we've seen during the OTAs, what we've seen during minicamp, and the way the coaches talk, Randall Cobb is a shoe-in. Now, who's going for that 4th, that 5th, maybe 6th? That's up for grabs.
Yeah, I think the competition at the wide receiver position will be after the top 3. Do they keep 2 more? Do they keep 3 more? Does somebody else force themselves on as maybe a special teams guy that they can keep 7? 7's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But they've got some talent, especially with the young guys they've brought in.
Johnson.
John V. Johnson.
Whoa.
Yes, absolutely. And Guyton, watch out for those guys. Reggie Davis, and then there's some other guys there that are going to fit in. And I think the competition at wide receiver just to make this team is going to be high.
I feel like we say this every year.
Every
It's always an interesting group
Every
to
year.
go keep an eye on. All right, taking a break here from the studio, but when we come back, we get to hear from Stephen Jones and get his thoughts on what the Cowboys are going to do moving into training camp.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. This segment is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas.
Welcome back to Dallas Cowboys Special Edition presented by AT&T. We've discussed who we think the biggest training camp battles will include, but how about we get the big picture from Stephen Jones, who is standing by upstairs with David Hellman.
David Hellman here. Yes, I can't really wrap my head around this, but it is training camp time once again. I'm joined by the man himself, Stephen Jones. Stephen, we've been talking about everything y'all have been doing this offseason for months now. You got a new offensive coordinator. You had a couple Pro Bowl free agents, Randall Cobb and Robert Quinn, a whole rookie class. I'm just curious, heading into training camp, if you had to pinpoint one thing that's got you excited about this 2019 Cowboys team, what is it?
Well, that's hard because, as you mentioned, we've had several things that have gone really well for us, and I think we've had one of our best off seasons that we've had in many years, including. I know you mentioned Quinn and Cobb, but we certainly had a great draft again, even though we were minus our #1 pick. He was already in the building, and Amari Cooper. But, we've just had everything fall right for us in terms of this offseason and really feel great about this football team. But if I were pressed to really pick what I'm really excited to see is just Amari Cooper getting a full offseason with Dak, with this offense, really understanding the offense from bottom to top. My hat's off to him. He did an amazing job coming in here and learning a completely new system, a completely new language, and having the type of production that he had last year. So it excites me what he'll do with the knowledge, having full knowledge of the system, having worked with Dak for a full offseason, having worked in this offense for a full offseason. I really think there's a high ceiling for what he can accomplish.
All right, I swear I did not share my questions with Stephen Jones. He's just that much of a pro. He mentioned Amari Cooper. He mentioned Dak Prescott. A lot of buzz around this team, and a lot of it is about those two guys. Obviously, when you have good players, they command big contracts as well. That's been another talking point this offseason. Both of these guys in line for new deals in the near future. As it stands, I know y'all love to talk business at training camp. As training camp approaches, where do those contract negotiations stand?
Well, as we know, this cap continues to grow, and that's positive for the NFL. It's positive for the teams. It's positive for the players. This business has really turned out well, and consequently, the money's growing, and I'm sure the players are thrilled about it, and that makes these contracts this much more difficult to get done. You have to be patient. It's big money. I understand that these players certainly take it very seriously in terms of what their future is all about. They should be able to take care of a generation of families, if not several, for years to come with what these players can make. And we're talking about great players and Dak Prescott. We're talking about great players in Amari Cooper and Zeke Elliott and Byron Jones, and right on down the line. We've been fortunate to draft well and make some good deals, but eventually they get done. You just have to have patience. You have to understand what they're trying to get done, and certainly they know we're trying to fit everybody in under this cap. It's not their job to do it. It's certainly Jerry's job, my job, our cap staff, to really try to massage our salary cap so we can keep these great players that we've drafted in the organization. And, I'm very optimistic that eventually we'll get these deals done, not unlike we did with DeMarcus Lawrence. There were certainly some bumps and certainly took some time, but we eventually got it done.
All right, quick break from the studio here, but after this, Stephen Jones tells us why he thinks these deals will get done at training camp just around the corner.
This segment was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing.
Back for more special edition presented by AT&T. Let's head back upstairs to catch up with David Hellman and Stephen Jones, who talk more about these contract negotiations for the Cowboys that may go down at training camp.
David Hellman here again with Cowboys Chief Operating Officer Stephen Jones. Stephen, we were talking about training camp, contracts. Y'all, it's kind of been a trend with y'all, Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick. When summer rolls around and the team gets into camp, contract negotiations kind of start to heat up. And I'm just curious if you could shed some light. Is it as easy as having everybody in the same place at the same time, or what is it about training camp that fuels that?
Well, I think there's a couple factors that play in when it comes to getting deals done in camp. I think one is it's great to be right there on campus together. The players there, Jerry's there, I'm there. The agent can certainly find his way there if he feels like we're getting close. And sometimes it's great to have everybody there so there's no misunderstandings as to why we may be in a certain place where we are and what the player really wants. So that's very productive and very helpful. The other thing is, I just think the time of year. I think it's getting ready for the season, and I think most of these players want these deals done before the season starts, so they can be laser focused on the season once we start playing the regular season. So I think the timing of it is, hey, this is kind of coming to a close, the opportunity to get a deal done. Doesn't mean that we wouldn't necessarily get a deal done during the season, but I do know most of our players would like to avoid that if at all possible. And I know we're certainly motivated to get these deals done, and I think the players are too. So, hopefully we'll have a productive camp on the field, and we'll get a lot of business done off the field with some of our top players.
One guy who got his deal done, DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously, we covered that in April. Been rehabbing a shoulder injury. Byron Jones is another guy that I know people are curious about, two all-pro players. Can you give us an update on where those guys stand heading into camp and what you're hoping to see from them in this next month?
Well, first of all, what makes them great is they're true pros. They work at their craft, and they certainly understand coming off surgeries and injuries that they need to be all in terms of their rehab and what they're doing. We have one of the best in the business in Britt Brown, who's in charge of that specific area. So they're doing outstanding. We're very optimistic and feel great that these guys are going to be ready to start our season. Obviously, we'll be very careful in terms of any risks we take with them in any preseason or preseason games. But, right now we're very optimistic that these guys, barring any setbacks, should be ready to go beat the Giants.
Looking forward to it. Hey, we're at the Star here right now, but I can already smell the grass in Oxnard. I'm ready to get this thing going.
Thank you, David and Stephen Jones. We look forward to hearing more from him from Oxnard, California. But for now, final break here on the show. A combined 57 years of training camp between Nate Newton and Mickey Spagnola. They're giving their favorite memory after this.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T, more for your thing, that's our thing. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' films and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Time to rapid fire through 4 downs. First down, Mickey, which rookie makes the biggest impact this season?
Impact will depend on opportunity, and I think the guy that's going to get the best opportunity is the versatile rookie running back, Tony Pollard.
Good one.
Tristan Hill will be the guy. He will make the middle of the defense strong, and our linebackers will run free.
Early guess at your training camp MVP, second down.
I'll tell you, the guy that Cowboys really like, the coaching staff really likes, is Robert Quinn. So look out for the right defensive end, Robert Quinn, to become a third 3-down linebacker.
Xavier Woods, Jeff Heath. We didn't get no safeties in the draft, and these guys will have an impact this year.
Third down, fill in the blank. This is a make or break year for who, Mickey?
Well, I think if you look at the contracts and where they are in their careers, it's going to be Taco Charlton. This is the last year of his guaranteed money. Next year, they could release him and it won't cost him much, so Taco, time to step up. Nate?
Blake Jarwin. That's my man. He came on strong at the end of the year. He will do his thing. Dalton Schultz, you got to block.
All right, guys, I already teased it. 57 combined years of training camp. Give me your best memory of any training camp. I know it's been a lot of places.
You know, Lindsay, I think we both got a training camp we both remember, and I can take you back to 1986 when Nathaniel Newton showed up for the Dallas Cowboys in Thousand Oaks, California at Kalu University. And Nate, you were the biggest offensive lineman the Cowboys had ever seen.
360 shaking pounds, baby.
Wow.
Hey, I thought something was wrong with me because people look at me like, my pants were tight, they looked like hot pants.
They needed probably to sew 2 shorts together to get them on, Nate, because Tom Landry didn't like oversized offensive linemen.
Looking forward to new memories in 2019. We're happy to kick off Special Edition presented by AT&T. We'll see you next week.